The county government will institute the necessary measures to recover all unpaid rates and penalties. Payments should be made through the respective sub-county offices or through a banker's check or direct transfers.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Breastfeed your baby exclusively for the first 6 months of life. It helps them grow healthy and strong and protects them from infections and illnesses. Mothers with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 should be encouraged to initiate or continue to breastfeed while adhering to COVID-19 infection prevention and control measures to avert contact transmission of the virus to their infants and young children. Breast milk remains the best food and improves the baby's immunity. Breastfeeding is a foundation for a child's future health. Mothers who breastfeed reduce their risk of developing breast and ovarian cancers.
Moi University would like to inform all first years that online registration and orientation for the first year's 2020 and 2021 class is ongoing. Visit www.firstyears.mu.ac.ke to register. Online classes will begin on Monday 21st September 2020. Qualified candidates are also informed that online application for the September 2020 and January 2021 intakes in our various degree, postgraduate and diploma programs is ongoing. Apply now. Visit our website www.mu.ac.ke and click on the admissions link to select your desired course and follow the guidelines to complete application. For more inquiries, contact us on 0790-940508 or admissions@mu.ac.ke. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
This is NTV.
That is just a taste of the Kikuyu culture here in Kiambu County. Remember, it is our third day of the NTV on the road county edition, and we have a lot for you this evening, Dan.
Yes, we do in the Muruti edition, and we are really excited to have this final day where we shall be having a one-on-one interview with the governor of the county of Kiambu, county number 22, and we shall have some interesting stories for you, ranging from art to culture as well. Culture, that is Matatu culture, that is, as well as health, because today is the day where we mark 6 months of the pandemic in the country that is Kenya. But first we take a look at the highlights.
Tonight, 3 deaths, 188 new infections, and when communal worship is still more of a risk than a balm.
Wale watu walipatikana na manjanga kule wakiwa manyumbani kwao, hawakuwa na mtu wa kukimbilia kuomba.
The gains the country has lost on keeping the faith.
We need to be told whether the COVID pandemic is over, because the ones who said we should take care of this dangerous disease are the ones who are breaking it.
And speaking of rule breakers, politicians have been out and about, and it's all about the bridges that divide.
Ati tuwapatie viti zingine, hizo muko nazo hazijawatosha.
Kenya is not ready for regional governments.
And Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi gives himself up after cat and mouse games with police.
Ajibike kwa yale matamushi alitamuka.
But was he the only one at fault?
Such deployment should always be proportional to the assessment of the threat.
And also tonight, fasten your seatbelt and join us on a ride along around Kiambu County.
Asubuhi ukikuja unafungua unakuta hakuna nguo, nyanya unakuta ni kama mtu alikuja tu na gunia akatoa zote.
Tonight, we wrap up NTV on the Road Mweruti edition.
Mweruti edition, day 3 begins right now. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Flora Atieno. But before we get to the stories from this area, Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi this morning surrendered himself to authorities who for about 48 hours who had camped at his home seeking to arrest him over remarks that authorities say were inciting.
The MP was airlifted to Nairobi to face charges tomorrow, but in this drama that unfolded before the country's eyes, was he the only one at fault? Leila Mohammed begins our broadcast.
Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi presented himself at the Langas police station early Sunday morning. By Saturday evening, his whereabouts were still unknown. Police had on Friday camped outside his residence all night, but he was nowhere to be found.
Tumekuwa tukitafuta Bwana Sudi ili ajibike kwa yale matamushi alitamuka.
Oscar Sudi has presented himself officially and voluntarily. It is important to note that there was no summons given to him and that neither was there any warrant of arrest for him.
But while the police service is allowed under Section 11 of the 6th Schedule of the National Police Service Act to execute an arrest without a warrant in a cognizable offence, many have expressed their concerns over how the state handled the matter.
We must respect the democratic space that is in this country, that is provided for by the Constitution. I may not agree with what Sudi says, but I will defend his right to say it.
Sudi, who is expected to be a guest of the state for the evening, pending a court appearance, enjoyed a special transportation from Kapseret to Nakuru County, a matter that has irked many who feel the state may have outdone itself in executing the legislator's arrest.
Such deployment should always be proportional to the assessment of the threat. I think what is different here and what may be complicating issues is that the subject in question also happens to be a politician. And therefore, there could be fear that there is a level of resistance that may be expected to come from supporters. That may or may not be true.
Anahitajika aenda andikiwe taarifa na watu wetu wa National Cohesion and Integration Commission, ndio hatua zitakazofuata sijulikane.
On Friday night, several police vehicles were stationed outside the Kapseret MP's residence till dawn. They are accused of breaking the back exit door to gain access into the home, though he wasn't there.
The person who determines that threat level is government and no one else. So it's not a democratic, process that, we're going to vote on.
Meanwhile, 3 police officers and 4 civilians have been arrested over the standoff that ensued in the MP's residence Friday night. A panga and spent cartridges were recovered from the home. Among the officers arrested are those from the Presidential Guard. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Deputy President William Ruto says ODM leader Raila Odinga should keep off his affairs and insists he will still keep up his interactions with the people.
He also criticized Odinga for using the BBI to further his own interest. On his part, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is calling for a non-contested debate on the BBI and the referendum and has different views on the proposals for another tier of government.
NTV's senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi is still on that beat tonight.
Nothing announces the dawn of the political season more than this. Only it isn't. The government has not yet lifted the ban prohibiting public gatherings, but Kitengela residents came out in droves to receive Deputy President William Ruto.
Sasa wakuje na system, wakuje na deep state. Sisi tuko tayari, tunawaongojea. Tunawangojea na Mungu na wananchi.
The Deputy President once again hitting out at ODM leader Raila Odinga over his criticism of donations to the youth and women. Ruto says he should keep off his affairs.
Hawa ambao mnawadharau hawa makanga, hawa wa bodaboda, yule wa kiosk, ndio tutaunda nao serikali 2022.
His allies had their guns trained on KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli, whom they accuse of plugging holes into his boat and derail his 2022 ambitions. Atwoli, on his part, has denied that meetings held in his Ildamat home were about extending the president's term.
Kuna mzee anaitwa Atwoli, amesoea kufanya mkutano hapa ati atupangie kura zetu. Munaweza pangiwa kura zenu? 2022 serikali ni ya Ruto na mahasla wenzake.
Atwoli cannot speak for anyone, cannot speak for any party. In some quarters, they merely refer him as a political house help. He carries gossip from KANU to ODM to Jubilee.
I have asked myself, even at night, is William going to be our president? Even my birds in this compound, they tell me no. So I am sure 100% that he will not be part of the formation of that particular time.
The Deputy President, who has come out against the Building Bridges initiative, insists it's just but a tool to benefit a few politicians.
Musituambie hii mambo ingine munatuambia hapa ati munataka sisi ati tuwapatie viti zingine, hizo muko nazo hazijawatosha. Kwani munafikiri Kenya ni yenu peke yenu? Watu wawache mchezo nani.
But Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka is calling for an all-inclusive debate on the BBI and the referendum. He also differed with Raila over the quest for additional regional governments, saying the current devolved units should be allowed to thrive.
Kenya is not ready for regional governments. In our view, what is critical for us is to strengthen devolution and make it work for the common mwananchi by even creating the World Development Fund.
Even as the political season in the country now picks up, Deputy President William Ruto says that he is ready to take on the dynasties, insisting that it is time that he stood with the people whom he believes are going to vote for him up to the last man. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV in Kitengela, Kajiado County.
And since politicians are already out and about, NC leader Musalia Mudavadi was in Western Kenya, where he too addressed a large gathering.
Mudavadi weighed in on the BBI debate, questioning the motives behind the push for a referendum. Listen in.
Kitaifa, tuanze kujiuliza, ni kwa nini wakati wa uchaguzi unafika, wakati wa transition, alafu watu wanasema wanataka kubadilisha katiba. Katiba si ya viongozi, katiba ni ya Wakenya. That is the message. Ni lazima tujenge institutions, ni lazima tujenge sheria ambayo itadumu kwa muda mrefu.
The Kenya Coordinating Mechanism, bringing together the government and non-governmental organizations, and which is responsible for nominating a principal recipient for Global Fund grant for HIV, tuberculosis and malaria for the 2020 to 2022 period, will hold a crisis meeting tomorrow to review and respond to Global Fund's concerns after it rejected Kenya's application for a 45 billion shillings grant.
Well, Kenya was instructed to place a fresh bid after the Kenya Red Cross Society protested the outcome of the procurement selection that placed AMREF as the country's principal recipient. NTV's Seth Olale has more.
As the 23-member Kenya Coordinating Mechanism, led by Ministry of Health Principal Secretary, holds a virtual emergency meeting over the Global Fund beta prescription, Health Cabinet Secretary says the national government will hold a compromised position where both AMREF and Kenya Red Cross Society will benefit from the 45 billion shillings grant for HIV, tuberculosis and malaria. The committee which nominated AMREF as the principal recipient for the grant also includes non-governmental organizations such as UNAIDS, USAID, governmental agencies including KEMRI and the National AIDS Control Council, civil society, faith-based organizations such as Meds Kenya and SUPKEM, county government and private sector. During the voting, 17 entities supported AMREF's bid with 5 dissenting, meaning that AMREF, which has previously secured the 8 billion shillings tuberculosis and malaria grant, won the HIV bid for the first time. Kenya Red Cross Society, on the other hand, has been the principal recipient for the 14 billion HIV bid since 2012. According to Global Fund's technical and financial review aggregate scores for HIV, Kenya Red Cross Society secured a total of 130 points compared to AMREF's 143. The donor, in its response when it rejected Kenya's application, said the selection process was not transparent and the committee should go back to the drawing board.
On the other hand, we also really request for fairness in all the decisions that are made, recognizing that this is a public procurement process undertaken by an independent review panel, and all the decisions that KCM arrived at through consensus or voting. And once the decision is made through the laid down protocols of the KCM, then that is a binding decision to the members of KCM, and there will be dissenting voices. The question is, will dissenting voices lead to a threat to the mandate and the independence of the KCM?
The Kenya Red Cross Society, which protested and appealed the decision, maintains that it properly qualified for the HIV bid.
Our issue was really just that we felt, the process needed to reconsider our submission because there were things that we felt maybe were not looked at keenly or maybe were not understood. So that was really just the genesis from our point.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe now says the donor rejected Kenya's bid based on just a few dissenting voices. In fact, apart from Kenya, he says neighboring Uganda, Nigeria and Lesotho were also at crossroads with the Global Fund over their selection process. Nigeria, for instance, presented an organization called Family Health as the winner from the review process. But Global Fund instead installed FHI 360 as its principal recipient.
The fate of millions of malaria, tuberculosis, HIV and AIDS dependents on Global Fund lies on tomorrow's important Kenya Coordinating Mechanism meeting that will address issues regarding the nomination of the principal recipient. Seth Olale, NTV, Kibra, Nairobi County.
Thanks, Seth. Now, today marks 6 months since the country announced its first case of the coronavirus. And on this day, the country's COVID-19 caseload stands at 36,157 after 188 more people tested positive out of a sample size of 3,092 in just the last 24 hours.
3 more people have died in the last 24 hours, bringing the death toll to 622. Now, meanwhile, 296 patients have recovered, bringing the total number of recoveries to 23,067. Out of the new infections, the youngest is a 2-year-old child, while the oldest is 78.
Mombasa County has the highest number of cases today, recording 43 new infections, followed by Turkana with 29 cases, Trans Nzoia 27, Nairobi 23, and Kiambu County 10 cases.
When the closure of places of worship was initially announced by President Uhuru Kenyatta, it presented a headache in a nation that is heavily dependent on religion as a source of spiritual nourishment.
The reopening brought a sigh of relief and disappointment in equal measure as the faithful were allowed to resume services, albeit under tough measures. On our continuing series, 6 months of pandemic, Gina Kirori looks back at the journey that the religious sector has endured due to COVID-19.
Since the 22nd of March, the padlocks that clamped the doors of religious institutions shut became a common sight for faithful who once passed through them seeking divine intervention.
Ni wale watu walipatikana na manjanga kule wakiwa manyumbani kwao, hawakuwa na mtu wa kukimbilia kuomba, na wengine walikuwa wameenda mashambani.
Yeah, in the beginning was very difficult because all of a sudden we were told to close the temple, not to allow anyone, and then people staying in the temple, not to go out. Even the staff who works with us for many years, even though they were told, if you come, you have to stay here, not to go out.
4 months later, on July 19th, the phased reopening of places of worship began, but under strict guidelines issued by the Interfaith Council, formed to mitigate the effects of the pandemic on the religious sector. Only 100 faithful could worship at a time. Services ran for just 1 hour, and only those aged between 13 and 50 years old could attend. The rules have come under heavy scrutiny from a number of parties, which even saw the church and politics clash.
The ones who said we should take care of this dangerous disease are the ones who are breaking it.
The following weeks will determine whether the Interfaith Council will proceed into the next phase of reopening, which will allow for more groups of faithful to converge, as well as more time for the services. In the meantime, many continue to shelter under the comfort and safety of prayer.
We ask Almighty God to finish and remove this. It is the one who can remove us from this status.
The closure of places of worship dampened the spirits of many faithful who viewed the physical structures as a priority in their faith. But with the reduction in the number of coronavirus cases, those in the sector hope that the regulations will be relaxed. Gina Kirori, NTV, Nairobi.
All right, thanks, Gina, for that report, and we'll continue to bring you more details of our continuing series later on. We're going to take a short break, but I know Dan is wondering why I'm carrying this heavy bag. It's not actually a bag, it's called a kiondo in the Kikuyu culture, and it's quite important, especially for the women. It's used to put in gifts when you want to go to someone's house, and when you go to the market, it's as easy as putting everything in there. All the vegetables, all the clothes, whatever you need in the market.
I'm just hoping you have gifts for us.
Oh boy, I hope. And I see you have a horn.
Yes, I have a horn. In Kikuyu, it's called rohea. Now, it was carried by men when attending ceremonies to take Kikuyu traditional brew or muratina or murats, depending on where you are. And now the base of the horn acted as the stand, okay? So, however, if the horn fell off the man's hand, it was taken to mean that he was tipsy, or, you know, they had had enough and was required to go home.
Oh, wow.
So as long as it doesn't fall, I think for me, I'll have juice on it.
All right.
While I think about where I'll get my juice from, we take a short break. On NTV Weekend Edition, we'll be back in just a bit.
The Aerial Guarantee.
Asante sana. Sasa, ni nini kingine ambacho unaweza kumfanyia msichana wetu?
Kila kitu. Hata kufua nguo na Aerial mpya.
Basi, tuonyeshe.
Hey, sasa fanya haya madoa yawe sugu zaidi. Sasa tufue kwa kutumia sabuni yako na kutumia Aerial mpya. Aerial sasa inapatikana kwenye pakiti mpya. Unaniamini sasa?
Aerial huondoa madoa sugu kwa mwosho mmoja. Ijaribu leo uamini.
Moi University would like to inform all first years that online registration and orientation for the first year's 2020 and 2021 class is ongoing. Visit www.firstyears.mu.ac.ke to register. Online classes will begin on Monday 21st September 2020. Qualified candidates are also informed that online application for the September 2020 and January 2021 intakes in our various degree, postgraduate and diploma programs is ongoing. Apply now. Visit our website www.mu.ac.ke and click on the admissions link to select your desired course and follow the guidelines to complete application. For more inquiries, contact us on 0790-940508 or admissions@mu.ac.ke. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Hello? Dude, United on fire. United? Rashford is unstoppable. Tell me you have DSTV, Eddie. Do you know that I get more than 20 live matches on any given week from the best leagues in the world? La Liga, Serie A, the Champions League, the Premier League. Oh, what about that? Do you have Premier League?
No, we don't have that.
Eddie, if you're going to spend your money, spend it on the best football in the world.
Dial *423# to buy a DSTV HD decoder for only 1,999 shillings.
We all are looking for products to protect ourselves from viruses, but not all products protect us. Did you know that using Dettol soap and water protects against viruses? Many viruses are surrounded by an envelope with receptors that enable them to enter a human cell and cause infection. Dettol soap destroys the outer layer of the virus and effectively removes it. Protect your family from the spread of viruses with Dettol. Dettol cleans and is now tested and proven to be effective against COVID-19 virus. This has been Medivax for Dettol.
The Dettol range is available on Jumia. Shop safely and conveniently today.
You have been chosen to come here because you are the best journalism students in Kenya.
If your content is not interesting to look at, don't waste my time.
You submitted your work late. Why?
Each and everything that we used had problem.
No excuses in the newsroom.
Just let it go because it's a teamwork, for heaven's sake.
I think you should go home.
What if you don't agree with what he said? Will you say, So keep that.
Tumechoka, tumebit, tumezunguka.
Ni noma.
Welcome to Garden of Joy in Machakos by Optiven. This is a gated community that is strategically located only 7 minutes drive from Komata. The title deeds are ready. Call us today on 0790 300 300.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching the Muroti edition here in Kiambu County, and we are coming to you live from the Elysian Resort. Now, schools are not ready to be reopened in January. That's according to the Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General Wilson Session. He, however, said that the union would not oppose efforts to reopen universities and tertiary institutions in the country before January next year.
Session spoke at a Sunday church service in Bomet East ahead of an education stakeholders meeting next week that aims to review the preparedness of learning institutions in the country ahead of reopening.
Been done. Education remains underfunded, and we don't think, if at the rate in which the sector is moving, the country and schools will not be ready for resumption in January. That's the truth. in terms of preparation. And that is a key issue we'll be discussing tomorrow. The minister should be able to tell us the adequate preparations in terms of infrastructure. And TSC should be able to tell us the adequate preparation in terms of recruitment and deployment of more teachers. That's the right of Kenyans.
Now, as the country marks 6 months since the first coronavirus patient was confirmed, the war against the virus is still vital in keeping the disease at bay.
Well, Kiambu County COVID-19 Center is among the milestones achieved by the devolved unit's government in a bid to ensure that patients exhibiting severe symptoms of the virus are well taken care of to avoid further spread.
NTV's Melita Oletenges now highlights the county's preparedness in battling the pandemic.
Various governments and private organizations have been working to ensure they address the COVID-19 situation in their jurisdictions. In Kiambu, the Tigoni Level 4 hospital was converted into a fully fledged isolation center for COVID-19 patients.
To ensure that the patients from who are being served by this center also get services, we revamped and enhanced services in the neighboring facilities.
2,630 people have tested positive in the county of Kiambu. Out of 5,399 samples, 282 people have so far been discharged, while the rest have been on home-based care. The county has installed bulk oxygen tanks in Tigoni, Kiambu, Thika and Gatundu.
We also started planning on other ways of preparedness, which includes having adequate isolation beds, having ICUs.
The Tigoni COVID-19 Center has a bed capacity of 230 and 14 ICU beds. Another 100-bed capacity is currently under construction. A modern hospital block in Tigoni is also complete.
We just recently completed that facility. In total, we'll be having well over 800 beds in the county.
Kiambu County's COVID-19 positive count rose and became the second most affected county, having bypassed Mombasa's numbers. However, the county says its numbers have been going down due to residents observing the containment guidelines.
With the wearing of masks, it was quite a challenge. But today, I'm glad to say that virtually everybody is aware of the dangers of not wearing, putting on a mask. And with that, you control the aerosols, you protect yourself and whoever is near you.
The fight against COVID-19 can only be won by implementing the prevention guidelines set by the Ministry of Health. The Kiambu COVID-19 Center represents hope and a lifeline in stemming the spread of the virus and flattening the curve. Melita Oletenges, NTV, Tigoni, Kiambu County.
Now, do you think you can use a string to create paintings? Well, one young man here in Kiambu has ventured into what he calls string painting as a way of expressing his talent and earning his daily bread.
My namesake is called Mwangi, but Solomon Mwangi, who gave us a tour of his workshop, says imagination is so wide but prefers to do paintings that provoke societal conscience.
I'm Solomon Moshemi Mwangi from Kabuku. I do visual art in different techniques. Painting, string art, and collective of different art. I use string and board, fry board. I stitched, then I use the string to make that art. Like this art, the message behind it, venye unasaidia mtu kulingana pahari yako, maybe kwa maisha yake, anaishi kukumbuka kile kitendo ulimtendea. Mimi nilikuwa nafanya kazi ya mjengo pale, unapata unajaribu kupata kitu cha jioni yaweza kula ama mapato kidogo kidogo, lakini ndani yangu kulikuwa na ile hamu ya kufanya kile iko ndani ya moyo. Nikaamua siku moja kuchora. Wakati huo nikaamua ile pesa nilikuwa nazo, nikaamua wacha nitumie kulingana na kile nahisi. Hiyo nikaenda nikanunua rangi, nikakuja na nikaanza. Natumianga uzi kwa art kulingana na wakati mwingine waweza koza hizo pesa za kununua hiyo rangi because yaweza kuwa ni expensive, lakini kamba waweza kutana iko available kila pahali huko. I do love nature and na kile kitu imetuzingira. That's why mostly unapata kila mtu anashola portrait. I tend to kubadilisha hiyo narrative to do a different thing. I would urge Kenyans and people who are watching, try to appreciate the work done by Kenyans. Buy that art that is locally produced here. Then when you motivate each and every person who is trying to be creative in a certain way or the other.
Well, you know, Solomon Mwangi actually in just under 5 hours managed to draw this, paint the Nation Center in Nairobi. This is where we work, and he's done a fantastic job. I would say this is quite phenomenal for such a young artist. What do you think, Dan?
I think so, and just given the time that you guys asked him to take,
right?
He did it. They spoke to him yesterday, but today he was ready and did this. We can even see he's brought in camera persons and a crew here, looking like it's a bulletin or something like that happening there. So good job to Solomon. There's something about Mwangi's, I think.
I think so. But you also were doing something else in
Kiambu town. I was something to do with culture, arts, but more on the roads. The Matatus in Kiambu rather, not just number 100, but the adrenaline craze is also at level 100. Now, from the art on the exterior to the technology inside, then onto the way they are driven and how the touts hang on, it's an experience which the operators of the fancy ones, referred to as manyanga or nganyas, say is not wrong, but just the way the sector is.
Pablo Escobar, a slain Colombian criminal. In black and white, his life was colored in illegalities, the main one being drug trafficking. In Kiambu County, Pablo Escobar knows no traffic and has no drag to it. The Matatu that plies the Kiambu-Nairobi route is a moving embodiment of the Matatu culture. Let's go back to the base. The Kiambu bus terminus is a hub of activity, but when Pablo Escobar gets here, it gets cleaned up as it revs and roars in readiness. You come head on with its popularity. The journey to Nairobi Central Business District starts. Its commanding presence is topped up with the flags. It ordinarily gets passengers quickly with reasons attributed to it.
Inafanyanga mnapata wateja wengi kuliko mafri zingine.
Jua venye zinaka, hiyo design umanyanga tu.
Na speed?
Speed iko poa, wanapenda speed.
Speed. It's a race against time and each other while keeping up with the adrenaline.
Muone kama ni dangerous kidogo?
Iko sawa, vile iko poa. Cause tuko job sisi wote. Na tunatafuta. Ni system tu ya job. Watu wamezoea.
Wateja wazushi?
Wako poa, wanapenda hivyo.
Nganya inakimbia sana, inaokoa masaa. Starehe pia iko. Alafu kicheki pande ya entertainment iko tu sawa.
Personally, me I prefer kuena nganya. Juma beshte zangu wenye wako Ronga hunifilisha ati Kabuko tu ni matata zijaweza, ni zile za kitambo sijui KA what na zao zimeweza. Personally I think zikikam itakuwa poa.
Huku tutatumia mamati zile za kawaida, hata hazina tenje, hazina ngoma, kufika ni noma. Kutoka tao mpaka hapa mnaangaliana mpaka mnachoka. Kama nganya zinakaa zinasaidia sana.
Alafu unapata ukitoka tao ile kitu unaweza fanya tu ya maana ni kudozi. Udozi ukifika mangana kwambia tumefika ni mwisho. Lakini unaona kukiwa na nganya alafu iko na ngoma hapo pia. Si kama vijana pia unapata itabamba itaweza unajua. Alafu pia tupeleke na ring.
The journey feels like a ride through illegal avenue.
Hapana tuvunji sheria, tuko poa. Tuko poa tuvunji sheria.
For those inside, the hype is televised in this little jungle of technology and art.
The sound system will blow you away and the woofers hoover you back into your seat. The interior decor is also quite the investment.
What's the reason behind kufanya ma3 kwa hizo doido zote?
Ni culture na venye watu wanazipenda. Inakulanga domob. Kama mpya manyanga mpya inatoka kama 7 ama 8 almost
million.
Kaime designiwa kabisa.
Mbele nayo lazima ukuwe umenipigia simu mbele yao wengine. Juu hao wengine ni wengi sana, so unafika mwenye amenipigia akiwa wa kwanza. Huyo ndio customer wangu wa kwanza. Wenye wanakupigia wengi ni mademu.
We go by traffic police. It's business as usual. Police and Matatu operators have over time either been at loggerheads or accused of collision in flouting rules. So what is the relationship here like?
Iko poa, sio mbaya, ni kuelewana tu. Hawatusumbui sana.
Unajua bado ukiangalia hii ni do imekelewa hapa. Polisi pia kuchangamka na karao pia inakuaga tu rada safi.
Now, for a long time, open-air markets have been shunned by many due to the dirty and congested environment in which the businesses operated.
But in Kiambu County, the national and county governments, alongside other stakeholders, are upgrading existing markets and building new ones, giving a sense of dignity to small-scale traders and putting more money in their pockets. Victor Kiprop has those details.
Cecilia Shege has been a small trader in Gatundu market for many years, but the congestion, filth and unsafe structures they operated in exposed them to the vagaries of weather and discouraged potential customers.
Wakati tukuja hapa, tulikuwa tunauzia nje. Tulikuwa tunahamisa mali yetu, ilikuwa inanyesewa.
Bwana, ukileta kitu mzuri kwa soko inaungua na jua ama inaharibiwa na mvua. Matope ilikuwa mingi, garbage collection ilikuwa very poor kwa hiyo wakati.
Asubuhi ukikuja unafungua unakuta hakuna nguo kama 2-3, hakuna kiatu. Nyanya unakuta ni kama mtu alikuja tu na gunia akatoa zote.
All that would change for the better in 2013 when a new modern market was put up.
Hapa ni mzuri sababu nikitoka nje mimi hapana nachukua hivi vitu. Mimi nafunika tu natoka naenda nyumbani. Na asubuhi nikikuja nakuta kile kitu yangu iko sawa.
Hii soko mpya tulikuja na mpangilio mpya. Just kama saa hii unaona tuko ground floor. Ground floor ni food stuffs only. Yenye tunauza hapa chini. Ukienda first floor unapata ni electronics na shoes na utensils. Ukienda juu kabisa second floor ni clothes only.
About customers. Unajua kama wewe tu ndio uko kwa njia, wewe ndio utapata customer. Maana ile maji ilikuwa hapa, maji chafu, takataka. But today our customers just come in. We have parkings all over. Mtu anaingia, anapark, anaingia, anajiangalilia.
The market has also given birth to a new circle where traders can access credit facilities by saving a minimum of 20 shillings every day.
Sasa hakuna kwenda bank, watu wanaenda kwa sako, wanabeba pesa, wanalipa mizigo, analipa, akimaliza, anachukua ingine, ananunua shamba, analipa.
The situation is similar in the new modern Limuru market and is expected to be replicated in Ruiru, Juja, Kikuyu and Kihara where new markets await occupation and in Githurai where it's nearing completion. The county government has pumped in resources to safeguard the traders' welfare. Victor Kiprop, NTV.
All right, thanks, Victor. Now, being the home of the first family, Kiambu County has a few people who served the first and current presidents in different capacities.
NTV's team met with James Stephen Kihara and John Kimani Kang'ethe in Githongori constituency.
Well, these two served President Uhuru Kenyatta when he was a young boy, including taking him to school on a daily basis.
They relive some of the experiences while working for the first family.
Jina langu ni James Stephen Kihara Kibe, mzaliwa wa Githongori, Kajai. This is Riamuta village. Kila mtu kutoka college, police college, kila mtu anakuwa posted. Nikapelekwa CID railway. Kina Uhuru sasa, mtoto anza kwenda St. Mary. Asubuhi, unachukua mtoto asubuhi, unapeleka shule St. Mary, pale Lavington. Ilikuwa tunaita St. Austin huko. Kafanya hiyo kwa escort, nikakaa mwaka 6. Kama siku moja ndio tulikuwa kijana mmoja wakapigana na yeye kwa shule. It was for the fun. Lakini nikamwambia wewe nenda umwambie mzee umepigwa na kijana. Akaenda kumwambia mzee. Mzee akamwambia kwa hiyo ni kwa mambo ya Kikuyu. Wewe unapigwa kwani wewe ni mwanamke? Wewe huwezi kumpiga. Alimchapa kesho yake. Akaja akamwambia nimempiga leo mpaka mwalimu akajua.
Kwa Kenyatta nilifanya kazi hiyo ya escort na nilikuwa in charge ya hapa Githunguri na Thika na Gatundu. Mimi nilikuwa in charge ya kusupervise habari ya special branch. Kiwa ni Kenyatta ameenda Mombasa, mimi nilikuwa nabakia nyumbani. Sikuwahi kwenda Mombasa na Kenyatta hata siku moja, nilikuwa nabakia huko nyumbani kwake. Najivunia kufanya kazi na Kenyatta na kina mzee Mbio mpaka hadi Thuku. Sababu hadi Thuku alikuwa anatuma bibi yake kwa Kenyatta, anamwambia atumiwe daktari wale wanamtengeneza. Na sasa hawezi kukumbuka mimi isipokuwa ni labda nikionyesha yeye picha. Yeye anakumbuka wale watu ambao walikuwa nao akina Demethiu malika yake. Lakini mimi sijui hapo anaweza kunifunga. Ningeuliza ni Bwana Uhuru, yani president wetu wa Kenya, akumbuke wazee kama mimi na wale ambao tumekuwa escort ambao hatukutoka hata Nduru kwa mzee Kenyatta.
Well, very interesting stories there from back in the day.
I know, you can imagine how nostalgic they are, and you know, some of those things are just priceless, to be honest.
It's an experience, definitely. Now, the importance of shielding the environment should not be taken for granted. The county of Kiambu is looking at improving the supply of safe water for human consumption through its investments in the sector, as well as increasing the green cover in the county.
Water is life, and in Kiambu, like many other places, the demand and supply equation is imbalanced.
We produce about 126 cubic meters of water, 126,000 cubic meters of water per day, and the demand is well above 250,000 cubic meters of water.
Tulikuwa tunaitisha watu wa boda, watu wa punda, watuletee maji.
Kiambu West is water scarce, but the county says this is not primarily a problem of supply.
If you look at Gatundu, both north and south, the problem is not water. We've been with the PS, and one of the things that we are doing is to do interbasin transfer. We are transferring water from the Rireka to Theta, because Theta Dam is where a lot of reticulation for Gatundu is.
In Tigoni, the dam water is treated and once safe for use is distributed to Karori, Kiamba, parts of Limuru and Tigoni. In Karori area, tapped water was scarce, but now the residents have reason to be grateful.
Saa hii maji inakuwa direct, but before maji ilikuwa hatuko tunaona vizuri.
Usafi uko sawa. Juu maji ni mingi. Mnafua mpaka mablanketi. Hamkuwa mnafua sababu hakuna maji.
In Kiambu town, what was once a dump site has been cleared, and with it goes pain and inconvenience to many.
Hiyo moshi ilikuwa inatusumbua, watoto hawakuwa wanapona. Ikifua ilikuwa mara kwa mara watu wanapeleka watoto hosi. Lakini sasa venye imeondolewa, kila mtu anafurahia, mpaka mama watoto. Ni shangwe hapa.
If we are going to continue with this rehabilitation, that river will be clean. And I'm not ashamed to say we can also attain the Mishoki Park standards.
Salama Water Project in Juja involves drilling of a 6-inch borehole to supply water to over 4,000 residents through the distribution network covering Salama and Juja Farm Shopping Center as well as their environs. Water serves as a key enabler of a healthy environment, and Kiambu is looking at different ways to tap into that value.
One thing that we want to do, or we are doing as a county, is to provide water through gravitational, so that we can avoid a lot of bills from the Kenya Power.
The county has come up with a master plan to increase water connectivity.
We are targeting in the next 1 year we will be able to reach to about 80% of the people in Kiambu.
Story on the you know, the water aspect and environment is a very key one to the county government, and this is part of, you know, informing the kind of discussions we're going to be having with the county governor after this break, to have a one-on-one interview with him to just give us a glimpse, especially on this day that marks 6 months since Kenya confirmed its first positive coronavirus patient. But before we take a break,
indeed, let us take a look at this particular clip. It's a Soulstone Foundation, which is an acrobatic group from Gatundu, that is in Kiambu County, and it is made up of young people drawn from the community around Kimunyu. And apart from doing acrobatic shows, they also engage in preserving the Mau Mau sites, such as the Thiririka Falls and the Kimunyu Caves, ensuring a clean environment as well as entertaining tourists who visit the site.
They say being part of the group
continually tell people stories about this place because it's significant. One thing.
Get fresh, gotta get fresh.
Down is no boom boom pow, down is boom boom pow. Smell fire na uchafuzi na zidi na improve down is protect nguo zangu na dukia niko safi. Lazima niwe fresh na down is boom boom pow. Boom boom pow, down is no boom boom pow. Smell zote na zi boom boom pow, powerful freshness. Down is boom boom pow.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
So vile nasema, wacha nikubatie statistics. Niko na gamia 1,500. Tunakuwa drapo gamia na kuwa 6,000. 2,000 natengeneza leather, natengeneza viatu, wallet, kibeti, nauza hapa, na batia wewe 50%. Wacha niweke credit nikupigie.
Namna gani wewe? Hii mambo ya kuishiwa na credit kila saa. Come on. Nunua hiyo simu ya Vodafone. Calling fiber to fiber is 0 shillings per minute. And it is not expensive. Only 2,999 Kenya shillings.
Alo hali wa. Hata fadhali hiyo credit ikae ninunue simu basi.
Faibika leo na Vodafone for only 2,999 Kenya shillings. It will always be free to call fiber to fiber.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Melissa? Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
The Dettol range is available on Jumia. Shop safely and conveniently today.
You have been chosen to come here because you are the best journalism students in Kenya.
If your content is not interesting to look at, don't waste my time.
You submitted your work late. Why?
Each and everything that we used had problem.
No excuses in the newsroom.
Just let it go because it's a teamwork, for heaven's sake.
I think you should go home.
What if you don't agree with what he said? Will you say, So keep that.
Tumechoka, tumebit, tumezunguka.
Ni noma.
Welcome to Garden of Joy in Machakos by Optivan. This is a gated community that is strategically located only 7 minutes drive from Komata. The title deeds are ready. Call us today on 0790 300 300.
Hey there, friends! I know you've probably been hearing a lot about this new coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it's properly called. There is so much information out there, and there are so many rumors going around that sometimes it's hard to know what to believe. This is especially true with today's technologies like the internet and WhatsApp, where untrue information can spread like wildfire. Remember, whether it's something you're hearing from other kids or something you've seen on the internet, you need to first think critically and judge whether the information seems reliable before you believe it.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition on this third day of the county edition in the county of Kiambu, county number 22. And now we have a conversation with the governor, James Nyoro. Thank you for speaking to us and for welcoming us to your county. It's the day that marks 6 months since the first COVID-19 positive person was confirmed in Kenya. And Kiambu over the last few months, weeks, has been having more cases. It actually went beyond Mombasa, which initially was one of the worst hit. Where are we right now with the fight in Kiambu? Are the numbers coming down or are we still struggling? Today, I think they are 10.
Yes. Okay. First of all, welcome to Kiambu.
Thank you.
Yes, we actually look back 6 months and we have come a long way. As you probably know, we were not too worried of being number 2 after Nairobi. Because for us, we are number 2 in terms of population. We are the second most populous county after Nairobi, 4 million, 2.4. And therefore, in terms of the proportion, we were not worried at all. What actually was worrying us was the absolute numbers and the way the numbers were climbing. When you look at Mombasa, it's more in terms of density and many others, and we were slightly different. But I have to say that we are very happy today because over the last 3 weeks or so, we have continued to record numbers below 10. Today we were 10. We had 10 yesterday. We had 7. The previous day we had 8. So, and if you look at our number, we are probably 5 or 6 or like that. And if you look at those, even those like the 10, and see the ones that are going to hospitals, you'll be shocked. Today, we have less than 5 patients in Tigoni, which is a facility that we created with for about 230 beds.
What about home-based?
In home-based, we have about 300 and something, because that's really what saved it. But remember, home-based is asymptomatic. They don't have symptoms. So Tigoni is open for anybody with a single symptom, whether it is temperature or coughing or whatever. But we only have 5 of them, and only 1 is on oxygen. So we are very, very, very happy. And as you can probably know, when this thing broke, nobody knew which way to go. And there was a lot of confusion at the beginning, where people were actually being assessed on whether they are successful or not by the number of ventilators that they had bought, if you can remember around that time.
Yes.
And for us, we decided to do 2 completely different things. And it's not that we knew exactly where we were going, but we sought a lot of help, including consulting some people in Germany and some people in Italy. And the information we got was, first, have 1 dedicated facility. And that's how we named Tigoni Kiambu County COVID Center. Now, when you have 1 dedicated facility, first, you are more conservative in terms of using the protective gear, because 1 protective gear can cover 20 or so many patients. but also you have centralized it. The second thing that we did was that we knew that oxygen is the most important component of the treatment. Okay. And what we did was we went out and we procured bulk oxygen, with tall cylinders, that are installed outside the hospital, but piping down into the room and into very next to the bed.
Okay.
So, such that, and I can tell you, the 160, about 90-something of them were dependent on oxygen for almost 2 days.
Okay.
It is actually the oxygen that saved the people. So it's really about the plan, it's really executing the plan, and we thank God that we are where we are now.
Okay, do you by any chance have any fatalities from this county in regards to COVID-19?
Oh yes. So far, we've had about 2,630 positive cases. We have lost about 104 people. Out of the 60 that I'm talking about, out of the 160 or so in Tigoni, or let me put it this way, out of that 104, 10 were from Tigoni.
Okay.
So yes, we've had fatalities.
Okay. And before we take a break and come back to the conversation, I just want to speak about the strictness in regards to following the COVID-19 containment rules. And that has been said, it cannot be, it's been there from the very beginning, and it has been reiterated. But sadly, we are seeing leaders, misleading, if I may call it that way. What's your view on this?
I think there is a misconception here, and I think the CS has been very clear. People are behaving like COVID is over. And I can tell you, we don't know about this disease. This disease is still around. And when we talk about, like, for instance, the 10 cases, when we were recording 100, people start to think that the COVID problem is over. If you know what is happening in other countries, including UK now, there is an upsurge of COVID. In fact, I was talking to somebody, and they said that you cannot be allowed to meet more than 6 people. Now, this is after they thought that they were out of the woods. We are not out of the woods yet. And for us, and I'm very happy with the president, because when we came to announce the containment measures, he decided to extend some of the containment measures, including the curfew, including the delaying of opening of bars, and all of that. And that, to me, is evidence-based policy making. Because if we interfered at that point, and then we have an upsurge, we wouldn't have known what have caused the upsurge. So now, if we are going to get an upsurge, we would not know whether this is coming because people have entered into a campaign trade, or that it is the nature of COVID-19 that it comes and goes. So it is very, 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 very unfortunate.
So do you think these leaders, for instance, if we had a rally here in Kiambu and people get infected, should they take responsibility?
I think they should. First of all, I don't think they should take responsibilities of people being infected, because some people will die anyway. So I don't know what you take responsibility for somebody who has died. But I think what we need to do is to make sure that those people are penalized the way they are supposed to be penalized. Okay, the same way that if you break a rule, the rule, something happens. Because honestly, see the things that are happening, and like you are saying, this disease, by the way, seems to be going to the counties now. It's coming out of the urban Nairobi, Kiambu. You see the figures that are being recorded in some of the other counties. So, and again, because you want to have attribution, because the essence of knowing what has caused the upsurge of the changes in the numbers is for you to be able to contain it. But if you don't know, because you are breaking the rules, people are walking without masks, people are shaking hands, people are doing all kinds of things, we are not out of the woods yet.
Okay, we'll get back to the conversation and pick on other things about the county of Kiambu after this short break. Stay with us.
Wakenya, hii fight hatukuchagua, lakini tuko na choice. Tuchague kujilinda, tuchague kuprotect familia zetu, tuchague usafi, kuosha mikono, kuosha manyumba zetu, ndio tulinde watoto wetu, na tuvae mask. Future yetu iko iko mikononi mwetu. Kenya, let's do it for the ones we love.
The Dettol range is available on Jumia. Shop safely and conveniently today.
The county government of Kajiado, with the approval of His Excellency Joseph Olelenku, would like to notify all landowners in Kajiado County to take advantage of the ongoing 100% waiver on outstanding land rates penalties, which will end on 15 September 2020. The county government will institute the necessary measures to recover all unpaid rates and penalties. Payments should be made through the respective sub-county offices or through a banker's check or direct transfers.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition, Mweruti Edition. This is the county of Kiambu, and we're speaking to the Governor, James Nyoro. Now, Governor, you've been in office for about 200 days. What, if you were to tell the people of Kiambu and the country at large, the 3 things that you feel you've achieved in these 200 days, what are they?
Well, the first one is what we've just been talking about.
Yes.
I took over the office on 31st of January, and by 13th of March, COVID broke and nobody knew where to start. And the first thing that we have done, and I think one of the things that really we are proud about, is the provision of health services in Kiambu. As you probably know, prior to this, prior to my coming in, there was a lot of talk about there not being no drugs, more than 2 patients bedding, and a night in the same bed. There were no linen. I don't know whether you know that all our hospitals did not even have laundry facilities. They have been using, manual to wash the linen. But come to COVID, the way we have managed COVID, with now, as we talk, over 800 beds capacity, distributed all the way from rural, 150 beds capacity, which is we are opening in a month's time. Coming to Tigoni, 230, and putting up another facility assisted by the private sector of 100 beds. So the bed capacity. More importantly is that we have added personnel and trained our personnel, not just to deal with COVID, but also to deal and to start bringing in universal health coverage. Why is that important? And actually we started universal health coverage by making sure that the non-communicable diseases, which is the the diabetes and hypertension, that our patients were actually not coming to the main facilities because that's where the COVID has been. So we pushed a lot of drugs for diabetes back into level 2 and 3.
So we can say that
health is one.
Okay.
Health is one, and it speaks for itself.
Yes.
Now the second one is provision of water. I can tell you that. This is a county where we have actually an opportunity to have over 85, if not 90% water connectivity. And within a very short period of time that we've been there, we've connected close to 50 and now going to 60,000 households. Just recently, we'll be launching a project from Tigoni to Mushada through Banana. That is a project that will help about 10,000 households. Okay, just simple like that. We have a project called Mariene Matara in Getuamba that is going to serve 4,000 households. So if you look at the projects and the kind of things that we have also planned, because it's one thing to achieve, it's another thing to know where you are going. And I'll give you an example. Look at Thika town and the way Thika town is growing. Right now, we can only produce about 39,000 cubic meters of water. The demand for water in Thika town is 52,000 cubic liters of water. So what are we doing? We are sitting with the WASCO, which is a company, a utility company under us, and we have discussed a huge facility with the World Bank, and that is going to increase the water by 14,000 cubic meters. That will bring supply equal to demand. So if you look at water and the projects that we are having, you know, some parts of Goliba did not have water at all. There is a place called Dora, Magogoni. There was no water at all. So what we are doing is, where we can, we do the borehole. Where we can't, the boreholes are elsewhere. Like if you talk about Ondiri,
Okay.
it's a big water catchment area. So what we are doing is doing boreholes and spreading it out into other areas. So if you look at Githunguri, Githunguri is a water scarce area. And there is a big dam called Mukoyo Dam in Githunguri that we are working on so that it will make the whole of Githunguri self-sufficient. So water,
What is the second one?
The third one, let me tell you, and this has been very, very unfortunate, because let me move out of service, because we can talk about roads, but roads is a service. I would rather not talk about roads, because roads we have done, and everybody knows that we have 7 kilometers of roads in every ward. But let me come to food security and economic empowerment. I think the biggest problem we've been having in this county is that people did not think that people need money. We have just been talking about that road, which you do today and it's poorly done and the following day is not there, or sometimes water which is not there, it's irregular. But economic empowerment, food security. Kiambu people, actually about 30-40% of them have been food insecure. So what have we done? We have introduced a program, a subsidy program, where we are distributing seed, subsidized maize seed, appropriate variety. You know, that's my area of specialization.
Yes, yes.
Appropriate variety to your area, okay? And then we bring that with the fertilizer that is appropriate, not the old traditional fertilizers that we were using that have made the soil acidic. So what have we seen? We have seen people producing more maize, more beans. We've seen more potatoes being produced, and we are planning to double and triple that in order to enhance food security. Okay. You may think that food security is not important, but you realize in Kiambu, if you are not producing food, you are either producing coffee or tea or dairy. And unless, probably for dairy, coffee you cannot boil it and give it to your children.
Yes.
And when you are not paid, you can't do anything. Tea the same.
Yes.
So food becomes so important. So our strategy is actually to produce enough food now for the people of Kiambu, but also to sell in the road.
Okay.
We are talking about coffee. Coffee has been such an important commodity. Again, our cooperatives were mismanaged. Before I came, the cooperatives were in court with the county. Now, so far this year, we have distributed fertilizer worth 50 million to the coffee cooperatives. And they have come together so that we start to think about how we process and market coffee.
Okay.
Talk about dairy. Do you know that we are the largest dairy producing county in the whole country? It used to be Uasin Gishu. They are no longer. We are the biggest.
Okay.
And that means dairy is dairy cash. And what we are doing is to assist the farmers so that they can produce more fodder, they can produce more heifers, they can be able to cool their milk, they can be able to pasteurize the milk, and even moving towards packaging the milk. So these are some of the things that we have done, but we have only started. We've been there, like you said, for less than 200 days with all the constraint of Corona and no money.
Okay.
Remember, there is no money also.
Yes, because I want us to very briefly touch on two small things, Governor. I asked we do it very briefly. One, there's been a lot of heat in terms of politically regarding even your county, being the county of the president. Do you feel, as the person who is ideally meant to be on the ground with these people, that the president's people are revolting from him?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And all you needed to do was to see when the president came to KU referral on Thursday, and he just completed, and he was coming out, and outside the gate, people literally blocked the road, and the president had to come out. The president actually avoided passing through Githurai because the people of Githurai were coming out and so excited. So I do not think so. There's this picture that people want to depict that people are voting against. No, it's not. I am on the ground. I have had issues and I have gone and discussed with people. And let me tell you, people will always blame whoever is in power. And I can tell you, the other day I went to Githurai and there were problems there with the railway, and people are being told it's the president who decided to remove the people from wherever. And one guy stood and said, we are always told that umetumana so that this mukokoteni is taken away. But we know where would you take the mukokoteni? So there are so many things that people are saying which are not true. The president is very, very popular. Take it or leave it.
So you're
very
saying
popular
that
in Kiambu.
what they say, Jeshi Tigenu, is not true?
Jeshi Tigenu is a phrase that other people have been using for their own aids and means. Let me tell you, there is generally a problem across the country, okay? There is a problem that was brought up by COVID.
Okay.
And you know that people have lost business. You cannot be happy if people have lost business. Now, it's time to come back now. So the phrase of Jeshi Tigenu, I'm not so sure about it. And I've been talking to the president, and you probably come back and get an opportunity where we can visit some of the projects. You covered the markets.
Yes.
Yeah, we would want him to come and open those markets because, and you will see for yourself whether that is Jeshi Tigenu or not.
We shall see for ourselves. Thank you very much, Governor Nyoro, for speaking to us and just giving us some insight in terms of what exactly is happening in the county of Kiambu, just in terms of the local aspect and even the out of the county kind of aspects. We'll take a short break on NTV Weekend Edition, but after this, Mr. Karuma will tell you what's on sports.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Pants is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
From far with you. I even gifted you a magnificent house. Rosa, it's the thought that counts. Please help me.
When it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Panadol Baby and Infant, tough on fever, gentle on your child.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
You have been chosen to come here because you are the best journalism students in Kenya.
If your content is not interesting to look at, don't waste my time.
You submitted your work late. Why?
Each and everything that we used had problem.
No excuses in the newsroom.
Just let it go because it's a teamwork, for heaven's sake.
I think you should go home.
What if you don't agree with what he said? Will you say, So keep that. Tumechoka, tumebit, tumezunguka.
Ni noma.
Welcome to Garden of Joy in Machakos by Optiven. This is a gated community that is strategically located only 7 minutes drive from Komata. The title deeds are ready. Call us today on 0790 300 300.
Right then, welcome to NTV Sport. I'm Watson Karuma. The women's race in this year's London Marathon features some of the fastest women in marathon currently. The race includes the women's marathon world record holder as well as a defending champion. Priska Jepto, who won the marathon against similar competition back in 2013, spoke to our reporter Steve Keter at her training camp in Kapsabet.
In 2012, Priska Jepto made her debut at the London Marathon. She finished third in 2 hours, 20 minutes and 14 seconds. Two Kenyans, Mary Keitani and Edna Kiplagat, finished ahead of her. Encouraged by that performance, Jepto returned to the streets of London a year later. She was ready.
Of course, nilikuwa naogopa kwa sababu nilikuwa nikiona hiyo time yao na yangu nikasema naona hapa ni ngumu lakini nitaenda kujaribu. Na tena coach alikuwa ananiongelesha kila siku. Every workout ananiongelesha mentally mpaka nikiwa yani ni karibu yani siku ya mwisho nikienda anaongea kabisa hata kwa simu. The following day alikuwa anaongea mpaka nilikuwa na hiyo morale.
As the defending champion in 2014, Jepto pulled out of the race. Her performances in 2015 and 2016 were not as easy. In 2015, she finished 7th and 8th a year later. With such experience in London, she easily offers that the streets of London are tough but can be conquered.
My secret is to train well and be disciplined, self-discipline, and also to work hard in training and also to follow what your coach has drawn for you.
While she does not have a favorite among the top Kenyan ladies in the London Marathon, she is almost certain that a Kenyan will win. On the men's category, Jepto is banking on the world record holder Eliud Kipchoge to win, although she recognizes the threat posed by Ethiopia's Kenenisa Bekele.
Nafikiri walitrain vizuri na mimi najua wataenda kuperform well. Na mimi nafikiri Kenya watawin. Itakuja Kenya. I think Eliud will win. He's still strong.
According to Priska Jepto, in addition to good preparations, self-confidence is a key component in winning a highly competitive course such as London. And therefore, these components are likely to play a big role in determining this year's London Marathon winner. We wait to see who it will be. Steve Keter, NTV Sport, Nandi County.
All the best to the marathoners in the 40th edition of the London Marathon, which, by the way, will be live on the 4th of October right here on NTV. So book that in your diaries. Now, young women from Mathare slums have been keeping busy during the pandemic-forced break. The young women have been playing basketball with the Slums Dunk Academy. The academy is coordinated by Zetech University women's basketball coach Maurice Obilo.
This is an academy, basketball academy, and we are trying to support and encourage these kids, especially the girls, so that they can at least have something to look up to. Here, we have some people who normally come here to support them in terms of maybe fees, food, sometime, and that is what we're doing. Being an institution, and I'm also part of this program, I find it very good for me to come and at least support them and show them at least after high school, after primary, after high school, they can get a chance in Zetech.
Kocha, hapo unaonaje, kuna talanta?
So much talent. Some of these kids are just 10 years old, but you cannot believe what they can do at 10 years old. So much talent iko mob sana.
Na unaonaje katika msimu wa ligi kuu hapa nyumbani katika mpira wa kikapu, ulikuwaje na mnapanga nini kwenda mbele?
Last year tumecheza vizuri. We played very well according to the group of players that we had. We had very young players and inexperienced players just from high school. But basically this coming season, we are not sure if it's going to be played this year or next year. But this coming season, we will do well. Depending with the kids that we had last year, they are now mature enough to handle any pressure at the Premier League level. So we are sure we will do better than last season.
very noble there indeed. Now, Japan's Naomi Osaka came from a set down to beat Victoria Azarenka of Belarus to win the US Open and clinch her third Grand Slam title. Osaka, the fourth seed, overcame her unseeded opponent 1-6, 6-3, 6-3 inside a near-empty Other Ash Stadium at the Flash. ...11 rebounds and 7 assists as the LA Lakers advance to their first NBA Western Conference final in a decade with a 119-96 blowout win over the Houston Rockets. Anthony Davis tallied 13 points and 11 rebounds. Kyle Kuzma had 17 and Markieff Morris finished with 16 for the Lakers, who eliminated the Rockets in 5 games in the quarantine bubble in Orlando, Florida. Lakers advanced to their first NBA final since the Kobe Bryant-led Lakers
well found by
All right, thanks, Watson. And it is a wrap from us here in Kiambu County. We are sad to say goodbye, but on to the next one. And we appreciate all the stories and the culture and the developments that we've seen in this county. My name is Zainab Ismail, aka Wamboy. That's a name I was bestowed upon, and I will be taking it from here on to wherever I will be going. Our sign language interpreter this evening was Flora Atieno.
And thank you very much once again for joining us. And my name is Mwagiwa Joroge, or Dan Mwangi, now that the county edition is over. And we are joined by the Mwedhegi dance group, and they are going to be kicking us off into the night after the bulletin. Thank you very much for joining us. We do this again the next county, next time we're on the road. Good night.
Did.
Magadina, 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 This is NTV.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches.